Hey everybody, good morning. Hope you're doing well, and I hope you're already thinking of ways to make a big impact this week. So I want to ask you, have you ever noticed how sometimes things aren't always as they appear? Yeah, and that's a case, it could be the case in words, and sometimes even names, but today I want to focus on a word, and that word is fear. And sometimes fear is not what we always think it is. It's important to know the difference. So I want to dive into that right now and hopefully give you some enlightenment. So let's don't waste any more time. Never fear. Let's rock and roll. It's your Monday morning. Hey, good morning again, everybody. Yeah, we're coming to you from the Shaping Bay here at Circa 1918 Surfboards. And one of the reasons I decided to film here today is because we're actually working on a project. It looks like a surfboard, but in reality, it's going to end up being a coffee table shaped like a surfboard. So just another example of things aren't always as they appear. Now, I told you in the last Monday morning video that in today's Monday morning video, I was going to explain to you why my last name, at least for my family, is pronounced Jordan and not Jordan. And that's another one of those things aren't always as they appear. And that got me to thinking about this word fear, a word we're all very familiar with, an emotion we all feel probably every day to a certain degree. And not that it's not a healthy emotion, because, if we're going to get attacked by a bear or something, the fear happens and we know to get the heck out of there. But I've always wondered about the biblical meaning of fear, and specifically fearing God. You ever wondered about that? Yeah, I've always had trouble with that concept. So let me just backtrack for a second, because did you know, and I can't verify this, but I've seen it written, I've heard people say it, apparently in the Bible, there are exactly 365 times, one for each day, where God says to us, either through the prophets of the Old Testament or Jesus, have no fear, don't fear. Well, that's something we can all understand, because we understand what fear feels like. And he's basically saying, don't be anxious, don't worry, don't be so uptight. That part we get. But it's the fearing of God that I think a lot of us have trouble with. Now, when I was a box checking Christian, I had no concept what it meant. Once I became a practicing Christian, though, I dug a little deeper because I really wanted to know. So I want to share with you right now what I think fearing God means. Are you ready? So first off, let me just start by saying that, as you guys know, I am not a trained theologian. But as a practicing Christian, I work kind of hard to get smarter in the Christian faith and to understand more. And what I have to share about my understanding of what it means to fear God is basically my understanding. So if you want to criticize me, go right ahead. But I think I'm pretty accurate with this. So when we're told to fear God, it's not in the way that we're familiar with. It's not being fearful like when we're being attacked by a bear. Not that at all. In fact, it's probably just the opposite, because fearing God means that you put God where he belongs. It means that you hold him in the utmost of respect and awe for his magnificence, his love, his glory, all that stuff. You're putting him where he belongs. So doesn't that make sense? So I want to read you something from Isaiah, because if you fear God the way you're supposed to, then you understand that when God tells you have no fear, he means it. He means it. So here's a gold nugget, Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Now, friends and neighbors, if we didn't fear God, if he wasn't who we think he is, magnificence, could he make that promise? I don't think so. So this is a great example of how it's so important to understand what words mean so that they make sense. Yeah? All right. Hope you got something from that. Now, how about a name? All right. Most of you know me by this name. This is my last name. And for 90% of the world, it's pronounced Jordan. But I'm part of the 10% that pronounces it Jordan. Don't you want to know why? I haven't the faintest idea. But that's not totally true. So I want you to consider another name that is sometimes has different pronunciations. It's this one. Yeah, looks like Herbert, doesn't it? But I want to tell you, there are parts of this country, especially down in Louisiana, where this is pronounced A-bear. It's the same exact spelling, isn't it? Totally different name. So what does that suggest? Well, it's really about dialect, I guess. Jordan and Jordan, they're Anglo-Norman names, which means, maybe my part of the clan came from France at one point, and that's why it's Jordan, and we are just stubborn enough to keep it that way. But I want to talk about some other words that can be misconstrued. You see that right there? How do you pronounce that? Well, some people say route. Some people say root. Guess what? Either way you say it means exactly the same thing. And here's my final one, and I love this one. Yeah. You know what that means? How do you say it, though? Is it amen or is it amen? Or does it make any difference? Doesn't make any difference, does it? So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you know what things mean so that you'll know how to apply things correctly. Know what it means to fear God. Know what it means to be fearful, like of a bear. And understand why people say things the way they say them. Because if you assume, you know what happens. All right, friends and neighbors, I hope that was helpful for you today. As always, may the Lord of peace himself give you peace at all times and in every way. The Lord be with all of you. I sure hope you have a fantastic week. Thanks for visiting with us every week. I hope you come back. And until next week, we'll see you.